It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Kassian Gage.
All right, it is episode 5 of Two Guys and a Goalie, the podcast. Cass, you always wave at the camera.
I always wave. You know what? You know what? I just thought we should probably name these episodes instead of just giving them numbers.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Name these episodes like.
So what would this one be?
Well, I mean,
I guess we haven't come up with it yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'd have to wait till after.
Yeah, we'd have to think of like what we talked about and what would be an appropriate title.
Like we're going to talk about some RFAs today. We're going to talk about Evander Kane. We're going to do some predictions. Maybe we could tie it around predictions. I've got a little surprise for you guys today, so we'll get into that as well. There's lots on the go. Hernan in the corner is with us. Hernan, are we live on Facebook?
We sure are.
I don't see us on Facebook. Are we on Facebook? You sure we're on Facebook?
We are. It
All
says live, and we even got a listener that joined in. So.
What? What a fool. The Two Guys and a Goalie podcast is presented to you by Oddshark. Check them out at oddshark.com. Chris Abbott from Oddshark joins us every Thursday here on the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast. We do have lots to get to. First of all, anything cool happen on the weekend to you guys or what?
I was pretty low key, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's weird for you. Usually you're running naked down Jasper here in Edmonton.
Well, White Ave.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, White Ave.
I don't cross the river.
Yeah. What about you, Cass? You get up to anything special?
Yeah, well, I went to the Oil Kings game, so the WHL game.
Okay,
on the
nice.
weekend, playing Lethbridge. And, it was a lot of fun, actually. I haven't been to one for a little while, and so it was good to check out. A little sloppy, I think, the first couple periods. A lot of guys coming back from their NHL camps. But overall, I mean, it's still fun hockey. It's just what was interesting to me is it was just another reminder of how different the game is being played by kids coming up than it used to be. And some of it for the better, and some of it for the like, what are these guys trying to do?
Really?
Oh yeah. Like, well, just from a system standpoint, like there's being creative and being trying to bring offense.
Yeah. And
then there's just like not knowing where to go positionally. And you know. Granted, it's early in the season for these kids, but I was just like, man, like some of those old coaches would just have heart attacks.
that just would not fly.
Just have heart attacks, and I'm just like, if you ever thought of doing that, like it is a fourth line player, I was just like.
So when you're playing fourth line in junior, your job is to get the puck deep, go get it, then get the hell off. Or what?
I mean, again, the game's different. Like there wasn't so much it's not very much on the chip and chase or like dump it in. Try to go aggressive in the forecheck. Like it's not a lot more on the puck possession. I think that's a good thing to the game. Like that's a positive. But on the defensive side, like just cheating offensively is just rampant. And then and trying to like there's being creative offensively, and there's trying to be way too creative, like with just plays where you're just like that's never ever going to work. The second that you're playing against players that actually know how to defend, that is never ever going to work. And so it's just interesting seeing that, and as those players mature and get older, and some of those guys start to make the progression into the pro ranks, it's what's going to be interesting to me is how the pro game eventually transitions, and especially with the number of young guys playing. So it was cool. It was fun to watch. A lot of mistakes, which also can make it fun to watch because it means more chances. And overall, great time. And I know from an Edmonton standpoint, if you're in Edmonton. A pretty good event, I think, to take the family out to.
You one of the things that you mentioned was lots of guys coming back from the NHL camps.
Yeah.
Gager, what was it like going to camp and then coming back to junior again and kind of being a bit like, was there some swag there? Or does that go away pretty quick? Or it must have been a cool feeling.
It was really cool. What really made me it reminded me of my first year in Kamloops when you said that, and I was 17 at camp, and all these. I remember Daryl Sador I think it was the Kings.
You were in camp with Kamloops?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is before Portland.
This is before Portland.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 17 at the time, and there was a couple other a guy was going to St. Louis's camp, and another, like, then they had the bags and
Yeah.
stuff, and they just seemed so old. And like, I was home, I was so scared in this dressing room because there were actual NHL bags in the room with me. So that was
It just rattles you right away.
It was so exciting. But then I remember when I first came to Edmonton, and Kevin Prendergast, who was the director of player personnel, I came in. He gave me my per diem money. He goes, "Yeah, Joaquin, you're on the ice. Here's your stuff. You're here tomorrow, and you will be leaving on the 14th."
So like a pre-cut day.
There
like,
was no chance. I was
Okay,
like,
yeah, but how old were you
"Oh."
then? Like,
I was 18 or
okay,
whatever.
so you
but
weren't coming in and thinking you were going to steal the number one
I
job.
did.
You did?
Of course.
You
I
always
guess
do.
it's the right
You have
mindset.
to.
You always think you have
Even
a
when
chance.
you're 19, even when you're 18 though, like first camp.
You're always like, I'm going to
Yeah.
make this team. It's
I
just
thought I was good enough.
it's that mentality.
So Cass, what was it like for you then coming back to junior?
It's that first, it wasn't even junior. It's like, because you go to the summer development camp.
Yeah, okay.
So you get drafted, you go to summer development camp, like you get your gear.
your gear then.
And then it's like you come back to skate with the other junior players, like in the city that you're skating with, and you just feel so cool. You're just like, look at me, I have my Minnesota gear. It's green, and I'm cool.
Yeah. Don't mess with me now.
Yeah.
Like,
And then you go to rookie camp, and then you maybe get to main camp, and then you're just like, I am way out of my league. What am I doing here?
Send me back to junior, please.
Right, meow.
Yeah.
Sweet number 59.
Oh yeah.
It's 57. Oh, was it 57?
Was that your first number?
That was my first number. Yeah.
So as we discussed, I think in episode 2, you knew there
Yeah.
was no chance.
yeah,
of
when I
making
got
the
to
team.
when I got to 28,
Yeah.
when they're like, "Hey, what number in 28?" and then that was when it was good.
Gage, when you roll in and Prendergast says you're going to be leaving on the 14th, are you wearing like number 103 at the time, or
Pretty
what?
close. I was 71.
For a goalie? Oh yeah, there was no chance.
There's no chance.
Yeah, you were pretty low down on the depth chart there, I think. Yeah, no, that's good. All right, Two Guys and a Goalie podcast presented by Oddshark, also sponsored by Sport Clips. On the Thursdays, we'll play another round of Keep It or Clip It for the Sport Clip experience, redefining men's haircuts. Go check out the MVP experience there. And it is also presented to you by Popeyes Chicken. Try Popeyes legendary Louisiana chicken today. And guess what I brought for the boys today?
I see
I stopped by and I got some chicken
my
sandwiches for us just to have on the podcast today. So this one's mine because there's no tomato. And then
Did
there's
you get extra pickles?
no, I didn't get extra pickles. I don't even know if there's pickles on there. I just ordered the Cajun chicken sandwich.
Is your bag greasier?
Oh yeah, I had some fries, but I ate them on the way here.
Where's my grease? Where's my grease?
Sorry, boys.
Oh, that's brutal.
So yeah, no, give one to Cass.
yeah, we're doing this now?
Well, we're just. I mean, you can nibble on it throughout the podcast, I guess, because Popeyes, one of the presenting sponsors of the
Man.
Two Guys and a Goalie podcast. So-
You went. I mean,
This is the
you said
Cajun-
lettuce and tomato. And
yeah, there's lettuce and tomato on your guys'. Oh, we got one for Hernan too. Throw the bag over to Hernan. He's got one there too. I could not bring one for Hernan. How rude would that have been?
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good.
actually.
So this is it's like try the
right.
menu Mondays
All right.
on Two Guys. Let me know how it is. I thought about eating my sandwich on the way over too, but I just decided to stick with the fries.
How hard is that to not eat it in the car?
Dude,
Right?
I almost bought a second one because I knew that I was. So I roll into it. First of all, how sad is this? Popeyes doesn't open till 11.
Oh.
I'm sitting outside at 10:50 waiting for it to open. And then it opens, went through the drive thru, and I almost got. That's why I got the fries. Because if I didn't get fries, I would have eaten my burger, or I would have eaten Hernan's burger on the way down, his chicken sandwich, and then he wouldn't have got one. So
That's a solid sandwich.
what are we thinking early?
Yeah,
Is it spicy?
Yeah.
Not like unnecessarily spicy. I mean, it depends how much you can handle. I mean, it's
I'm like
not-
Costanza.
Oh, it's good.
I like
is
George
good.
likes it spicy.
Actually,
So
you know
does
what? I'm not a big spicy guy. This is a little spicy.
it's got a little
For me?
A little. It's not. I mean, I'm a big spicy guy, so it's not. It's like a pleasant. It's like a
For you,
pleasant-
yeah, no, it's got a little kick to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say this kind of leads us right into a spicy moment with our old buddy Evander Kane.
Yeah, let's.
There we go. Look at that transition.
Look at you
Wow.
become a
Episode
transition
5.
guy.
Episode 5.
Oh, that only took 5 episodes.
I had the over under on episode 10 before one of you guys started doing segues.
There we
That's
go.
excellent. But then you can't go have another bite of your sandwich before we're going to start talking about it. Okay, so if you saw it, Evander Kane was very interesting. Preseason action. He was in a little bit of a skirmish. Was it with Engelin? Is that who we saw it was with?
Yeah.
And he turns around to slash and like pretty hard slash, but nothing too crazy. But he kind of missed the player, slashed the leg of the official, the linesman. So they turn around, they skate away. Then Kane turns back around to say something else. The lineman steps in. Kane tries to skate towards Engelin, and the lineman kind of forcefully pushes Evander Kane down, and then Kane gets up and sort of pushes the official. He gets ejected for abuse of the official. But if you watch that play, I think if they want to do over here, to me, it was the official that instigated it, probably because he was pissed off that Kane slashed him accidentally. Like, I think that was a bogus call last night.
I think was the main reason he went like with the rush block.
Yeah,
Kane.
exactly.
Like he went and grabbed him, and I don't think Kane he wasn't trying to get back at England. That's for sure. Maybe just another slash or something like that. I think the ref overstepped his bounds there. He could have just stayed in between them. He didn't need to. Didn't need to grab Kane, I don't think. And then falling to the ground, like he wasn't resisting the ref at all. And then getting up, and he still had a hold of him. That was the
ref
still had a hold of him at top. And you're not supposed to push the ref, right? But I think the ref could have done a much better job of just staying in between the two, because he just didn't read the play properly.
How do you break it down, Cass?
Well, I was going to say to keep it spicy and to...
You're just hammering this, yeah. You're on fire today.
What? I'm gonna just take the other side just to make this interesting here. So I understand and I would agree with the referee instigates going back. So the linesman instigates going back and grabbing him.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of fall down. Doesn't look like the linesman was intending to like have them fall down.
They didn't slew foot him.
They didn't slew foot him or anything. Like he kind of loses his balance and they both go down. When he gets back up, the linesman is still holding on to him.
That chicken's hitting you, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
I was just formulating thoughts in my head. It's not like overpoweringly spicy. I had to. Maybe there was a little piece of lettuce.
I thought you were thinking, do I take another bite?
Yeah, I could have take another bite and go. I think that even if you're Evander Kane, even if you're frustrated, in that moment, you cannot push the official.
So no matter what.
No matter what. Like when
you feel like if you've been pushed down by the
even
official.
if you feel like you've been pushed down by the official, so say the official pushes me down, does that as a player give me the right to push the official back? Right? Like so for example, if let's just say I was let's just say those two guys got in a fight.
Yeah.
If we flipped it around the other way and said, okay, well, maybe, the official was trying to step in and Evander Kane hit him with a punch. Is it okay for the official to throw a punch back at Evander Kane? No. And so I kind of flip it the other way around and go like, does that make it okay for him to do that? No, I don't think it does. Like, I think it's fine if he verbally communicates it to the official and says, with however many F-bombs he wants to get get off me. Right. Like absolutely. But I don't think you can push him. Now, do I think it's suspension worthy? No, because it wasn't like he clocked him right in the face. But I understand why he would get ejected for that. And I think the league is most likely going to stick to their guns and say that was the right call to eject him.
But nothing else.
That would be my assumption.
And you think the nothing else, and I would agree that there won't be anything else. Do you think that's because the official was probably a little physical as well?
Yeah, probably because...
everybody, okay, it's preseason. You guys got a little fired up. Free pass.
Let's chalk it up to preseason. Okay, we went a little bit far.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure, maybe a call to Kane and go, look, you can't be touching it.
Cass, you were in a few scraps along the way. Do different linesmen get a little bit more physical? Like how physical do guys get when they're trying to either stop it or break it up, or maybe, to stay out of the way for the most part of your fight, but what about just a good scrum in the corner? How physical
it depends on the official. Different guys try to step in different ways. I always was very cognizant of letting the linesmen do what they want to do. And I always did that because then I knew in the back of my head, it's like, this was my thought process was I always get the benefit of, if I listen to what they say and if they're trying to do something, I let it happen. Then in an instance when I decide to do something that they don't want to happen, I'm going to get the benefit of the doubt. So in a moment, let's say, player does something stupid, and I need to get that extra shot in at the guy for whatever reason. If I take that extra shot at the guy, to prove a point. Well, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like to prove a point, or whatever it is, then the linesman's going to chalk it up to, or they're going to look like, oh, something must have happened.
Yeah.
Right. Like something else must have happened because normally he doesn't do that. So there must have been something we didn't see. That was my thought. Always on it was like if I listen to them, and even with the officials, like the head guys, it's like if I listen to them typically. Then the second that I try to, if I cross that line, then I get the benefit of the doubt in the situation. That was my thought.
So anyways. To explain it to a non-hockey folk, it's basically bringing flowers to your wife on a Thursday, knowing you're going to stay out extra late with the boys on Saturday.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. And so it's like, you get the benefit of the doubt, so that when you do, stay out past curfew, they're like, oh, something must have happened.
You're supposed to give flowers in advance. Is that I've never done that before. And on top of that, my wife always says she doesn't want flowers on occasions where you usually want flowers. She wants them at surprise occasions because they mean more, which is tough.
Flowers.
Which is tough. Like, what are you supposed to do? Bring flowers home on a regular Tuesday for no reason?
Throw flowers on a Thursday, man.
Just mix them in.
Unbelievable. Unreal.
Really?
Yeah.
But the thing is you got to cash those points in right away. I always equate it to like the air miles sort of thing. Except they expire really quickly and for unknown reasons.
Yeah. So did you keep a running account somewhere
in my head?
Yeah, all the time. Ooh, listen, I've got. Hey, do you want to come out? You want to golf on Sunday?
Yeah.
Just a sec. Let me see how many points I've got.
Points.
Okay, no, sorry, I've only got 5 points right now. I need at least 7 to golf on a Sunday. I like. And with that being said, all of our wives are wonderful
They
anyway.
are.
But that was, I like that. That's good. Okay, we'll get to. We've got lots of RFAs to get to, so let's dive into that. But once again, pick up a Popeyes chicken sandwich because they're pretty good. We will finish them at one point. I was trying to ask as many questions as I could so I could get through that sandwiches as quickly. Hernan in the corner. How's the sandwich?
It was fantastic.
Did you already eat the whole thing?
Oh, did you see
I'm
him?
not talking,
What a
so
life.
I just
It was like a
sat
weed
there.
whacker over there.
What a life. That
Holy
is
smokes.
ridiculous. All right, let's start with these RFAs. All the ones that really matter are done. I think it's, what is it? Jesse Puljujärvi, he's playing in Finland, and Julius Honka. 2 Finns are the only ones that haven't signed yet.
I
But
played in that rink.
you played in the rink that Carpat's playing?
Yeah.
Was it awesome?
It's really high up north. It gets dark up there real quick. I think it was like an hour of sunlight.
Seriously?
Oh,
So it's like
yeah.
worse than Fort Mac.
Way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That doesn't sound like fun at all.
No.
Speaking of Finns, couple of them signing, starting with Mikko Rantanen. He gets the 6-year deal at $9.25 million, which comes in at the same term as Mitch Marner, but $1.5 million less than Mitch Marner on a cap hit. And Cass, how much of this do you think comes down to the position of both these guys in where Marner is saying, hey, I want to make as much as Matthews, and Colorado, on the other hand, is saying, hey, you can't make that much more than McKinnon.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the numbers that we saw here, right?
That's it. That would have been their argument heading into it. Do I think that's a fair argument? Probably not. But that's the numbers that Colorado has from a contract standpoint, and that's what they would have used as leverage. So I think maybe a little bit disappointing for Rantanen that he gets that much less. That being said, it's a manageable contract from a cap standpoint. Colorado's going to be good. The next couple of years, they're going to be really, really good.
Dude, I think they still have like $8 or $9 million in cap space this year.
They're going to be really good. They have a young defensive core that we saw in the playoffs last year that's going to be they're a good hockey club, and they're going to have the cap space to make some moves. So, I'm sure when he looks at it and he goes, okay, this is not like it's not like I'm not making any money here. I'm making a lot, and I'm going to have a chance to play for some championships. And then we look at just the age when he finishes as well, with that 6-year deal that he has a chance to bank on the next one as well. So I'm sure he looks at it and says, like, well, if we play really well, if I perform really well, if we win a cup in the next few years, then I'm going to have even more leverage for the next one.
Well, yeah, he's going to be 28, and he's going to cash in huge, especially if him and McKinnon continue to do what they've done over the last couple of years. Now, Laine takes a 2-year deal at 6.75 Gager. Kyle Connor says 7 years, 7.142. We've already talked about it a little bit with Patrick Laine on some of his comments that he made and how it might be the beginning of the end. Now he only signs the 2-year deal. Do you read into that in any way? Everybody else got at least 3 years. All these other RFAs signed for at least 3 years. Laine only got 2 years, which is probably the player's choice because he wants to cash in even higher in a couple of seasons. But do you read anything into that?
I would hope that he just starts lighting it up and scoring like crazy and then trade him. I don't.
So get him another 40-goal season and trade him next.
And see if you can get some assets and stuff. And
you can definitely get assets.
Yeah. So hopefully he just starts lighting it up, and because in my mind, I feel he just doesn't want to be there. And he's already, I don't know how it's going to be right now going in saying I want to play with better players. He signed when Connor wasn't there, so maybe he thinks he's going to step up on that line. Now he's back with Little, is it? Did he play?
Well, he runs a little bit with Brian Little, yeah.
So
which is not Wheeler and Scheifele.
Exactly. So, we'll as Trump says, we'll see what happens.
What do you think it's like? I don't know if you guys ever played with anybody who's coming in off a contract dispute and stuff, but I would think after, like, it probably doesn't take long before everything's back to normal, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, most guys don't care. Like, I mean, they care, but they don't care. Like, they understand that it's a business, and when teams talk about you, they talk about you as an asset, and so.
Like, they talk about all of the guys as assets, right? So you kind of know the shoes.
You kind of know that it's a business, or not kind of, it is a business. You know that it's a business. And so I don't think it takes that long. Now, if a guy was running his mouth and being a donkey about stuff, then you kind of maybe take a little bit longer. Like
at a level much more than what Line was.
I think more than that. Like, I don't think his stuff was that bad.
Yeah.
Like, in all honesty, I agree a little bit. I think it was Maurice that was saying, like, guys talk about that all the time. Like, and typically it's behind closed doors with the coaching staff, not in front of their teammates. Mm-hmm. But it's not an abnormal conversation for a player to be like, man, I want to play with better players. I want to get more playing time, play more in the power play and all that stuff. Like, it's just, so it'll take a little bit, but it's not like he held out for a whole year. And I think that's when it maybe gets a little bit more irksome.
Yeah, not going to miss any time. I mean, should be good to go. They were skating today. Him and Connor were on the ice in Winnipeg today, so they'll be ready to go for them. Of all these RFAs that we've been talking about for the last 3 months, which one do you think ends up having the best season? Gage, I'll throw that your way first.
I was thinking about this. I think you might see Tkachuk have a really good year.
Really?
Out of all those guys?
Yeah.
Like, maybe not the straight up points, but you're saying.
Yeah, but just just that whole. Because tell you the truth, I'm a little bit worried about Lucic and Tkachuk playing together, because Tkachuk plays, he has that Marchand style that antagonizes the other team, and that might get Luch a little bit more fired up than what we saw from him here. He didn't. I don't think I remember a game he played here, and he fought Gazdek, and that's when Luch was basically manhandling every guy in the league. Like, he was beating them up, and Gazdek popped him. Like, he buckled him a few times. I feel like after that fight, Luch has never been the same in a fight. But I just think he'll be more engaged and just have that. Calgary would just have that little extra bite with those two guys.
With both those guys there, which opens up things a little bit for Tkachuk to have some more success. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Just giving a little bit more room, maybe not room, but just have two guys fully engaged with that type of style. That's everyone will have their head up on and head on a swivel when they go into the corners with those guys. That's for sure.
Yeah, I actually you can bring up a good point, Gage. I didn't even think really about the Tkachuk element to Lucic, you know, when we talk about that, because Luch is good when he's emotionally engaged, and we've seen that. Like, he's still a good player when he's emotionally engaged. Not like the goal scorer that he used to be, and not going to be driving the first or second line, but if he's physical and he's involved, then he can contribute. And if Tkachuk is able to instigate enough that Luch is involved emotionally, then that could be a good thing for them.
Because he's not going there to score goals, right? No. He's going there to be a force.
Yeah. He was supposed to come here to be a goal scorer, right? Now down there, he's going down to make sure that they don't get pushed around anymore, which he might still be able to do. What about you, Cass, as far as these RFA go?
I'm going with Rantanen.
Okay.
I'm going with Rantanen. I think just the firepower of that line that they're going to be playing with. And I think from a power play standpoint, they're going to have one of, if not the best power plays in the league. So I think he is going to have an absolutely stellar season. So if we're talking pure points out of the,
you think he'll outscore like Marner in points and stuff?
Yeah, I think he outscores Marner with points. Does he get 40 goals? Outpace Line if that's what Line ends up. I don't know. Could be close. I would anticipate him being close, but I think from a pure production standpoint, Rantanen takes.
So he would be the guy that you'd take in a hockey pool. Is what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And do I have to answer? I asked the question. Do I have to answer?
Yeah, answer it.
Well, I was kind of leaning Rantanen, but I'll mix it up. I will go with. I think I'll have to stick with Marner. Like, just from a points perspective this year, yeah. As far as like a bang for your buck scenario, that wouldn't be the case. That would be Brayden Point getting 6.75 with Tampa Bay, which is just crazy the more that you look at some of these other deals trickle in. But Marner, it looks like he's going to be on a line with Tavares again, and those two guys are just deadly. I mean, they're just deadly together. It's ridiculous that the Leafs can roll Matthews out on one line and then come back with Tavares and Marner on the second one, which is kind of crazy. So, Yeah, I've got to go with Marner again. I just think he's too incredibly offensively talented to not put him in that position. And that comes back around to the hockey pool discussion I want to have. Cass, you were saying that, what is it, an office pool that you've got to fill out? Is that what it is?
I got to get that in.
That's got to happen. When you got to get that in by?
Oh, probably this afternoon. I'm assuming.
So, do you have it with you?
Not here.
Damn, we could have done a live draft. That would have been great.
I could pull it up in my email.
Yeah,
it's in there.
I was just kidding. It wouldn't have been that great.
Yeah. It make me feel all important, but I got my email. No, actually, we don't care.
We don't want to do it. It's a box pool. But what, you helped somebody win it
last year? Yeah. One of my coworkers, Scott, he came to me with a half completed sheet and was like, I don't know who to pick, and it was like all the big name players too.
Yeah.
Like the top half.
Couldn't figure out the top end.
Couldn't figure out the top end. He couldn't decide like who to pick between who. So I gave him who I thought he should take, and he won.
Really?
Yeah, I finished third, I think.
So you finished third, but the other pool that you picked won. See, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Did you get any money for third?
I think I got my money back.
Okay, that's not bad. Gager, do you do any hockey pools?
No, I haven't done one in years.
Really?
No friends.
I think I finished third.
That makes me feel so sad for you, buddy.
That's all right.
Okay, that's good. I filled out a box pool last night for my mother-in-law, and I always try to do good, right? Because it's the mother-in-law. You don't want to really disappoint.
Right, you want to get those points.
Yeah, exactly. That's worth 2 points on the overall point scale as far as your freedom goes on weekends. And if she wins, it's a bonus 10 points. And then you've got a nice little spring set up for yourself. So that's not bad. Let's stick with the points. Let's bring up your Popeyes poll question. Try Popeyes legendary Louisiana chicken today. And it is legendary. These are good sandwiches. Who will lead the NHL in goals this season? Okay, and I've got 4 options on the poll question, but you can also answer someone else if you want. Alexander Ovechkin, again. Leon Draisaitl, who scored 50 last year. Austin Matthews, who scores at a pretty good clip when healthy. Steven Stamkos was in the 40s last year, part of the high-flying offense in Tampa. Or someone else. I mean, is this a silly question to even ask? Is the answer just always Alexander Ovechkin? Nobody wants to answer anybody else? You've learned your lesson, second guessing him in the past.
He's got one more year. Every year I say he's got one more year.
Yeah, and then he goes out and gets 50 again.
So he's got one more year. He's gonna get 50. Watch.
When it comes to Ovechkin, and I mean, if the dude can score 40 goals for 5 more years, he could track down Wayne Gretzky as the best goal scorer of all time as far as goals in the back of the net goes. And you look at the years, the time now, the game that he's doing it in. I mean, it's not crazy if you want to say he's the greatest goal scorer of all time. Is it? Or is it crazy?
No, he is.
You think he is straight up?
Yeah. The way he can still overpower a goalie with his shot from the same spot every time is
in his mid-30s now.
It's mind-boggling how he does that. Like he's unreal. The only guy that compared to him, I think, would be Bure, the way he scored goals too. But even then, like, Alex is a different type of goal scorer. Like, to be able to overpower goalies from that distance with your shot, that's unreal.
It's because they know it's coming.
Yeah,
and they still, like that one timer on the power play, he doesn't move. He stands there, you know it's coming, and he still beats you, which is ridiculous.
Like, I remember a few games, and I sat kind of up behind, and he took a couple of those one-timers, and like usually I can pick up the puck and I could see it for a second and then I couldn't see it. I was like, oh my, like that is going so fast. How are those guys even coming close to that? It's unreal.
Cass, are you as confident in saying that he's the greatest of all time, or like not yet?
Pure goal scorer?
Yeah.
No, I think like who do you think steps into that role if not him? Like Gretzky, greatest player clearly.
Yeah.
Greatest pure goal scorer. Like if I'm running through the names of at the top of the list, I can't put anyone in front of him.
There's like, I mean, the other names that usually come up in the discussion. Gretzky comes up in the discussion. Yeah. Mario Lemieux comes up in the discussion. Mike Bossy, who had like 9 50-goal seasons in a row. Pavel Bure, I always put in the discussion. I don't have him in the top 2 ever, but he's always a name that gets mentioned as well. But Alexander Ovechkin is scoring 50 goals all the time. And nobody else, with the exception of Draisaitl last year, is scoring 50. I think since Stamkos had 65 like 6 years ago. And Ovechkin's just doing it on his own, which is it's unbelievable. It's unreal. In a time where it's so difficult to score goals, that this dude still does it with ease and better than everyone else.
I love how even he could score number 900 this year, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between his second goal of his life.
Yeah.
You know, he just loves scoring goals. I hate when guys, they score a goal and act like it's no big deal. I know sometimes if the score gets run up, but just a little pumpernickel or something like that, you know?
Just a little Captain Underpants.
Yeah, just a little, yeah. Just show a bit of cheek.
Is that a sign of respect to the goaltender who's just been beaten? Like, are you saying that from a goalie perspective? Like, a guy who scores and doesn't show any emotion, did it just look too easy and it's a slap in your face?
Right. That
kind of,
but you can the other way sucks too when they really celebrate. So there's no getting out of it as a goalie. Like, you really hated the guys that skated by and then were like, yeah, that's when it really gets to you.
Kass, what was your? I know you didn't have a ton of goal celebrations, but did you have a go-to celly when you did score?
I don't even know.
No.
I just got excited.
Yeah,
Did whatever poured out.
You weren't doing the one knee down and dragging the hand along the ice.
I probably should have. I was always too surprised when it happened, right? Like,
you're so shocked.
What? This actually went in? Something actually happened?
Are you saying you blacked out for a moment? Is that basically what happened?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kass, wake up. You scored 2 goals tonight. What? Did we win? It doesn't matter. You scored 2 goals tonight. That's absolutely incredible. The NHL making some news today. I didn't have it on the sheet or prep sheet here, but I wanted to get to it. You see they signed a 2-year deal with Green Day?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah. To provide a bunch of Green Day music. Green Day's going to play like some events. They're working on maybe a theme song with Green Day. And look,
talking about the regular season. Wake me up when September.
Yeah, pretty much. You're right.
Get to the preseason.
I didn't mind Green Day back in the day. I wasn't a huge Green Day fan, but it seems weird to sign him to a 2-year deal now, doesn't it, Gage? Like, it's kind of a little strange.
They're a little old.
Yeah, they're a little old.
Well, you know, with all the video games, like, it's mostly alternative, like music in the menu screens and stuff. Like, the NBA is more like rap music and stuff, but the NHL one is more
punk bands
and stuff. I wonder if that has anything to do with it.
Is that the brand?
Yeah, we're alternative. We're an alternative sport.
Okay, but as far as music in a dressing room goes, you wouldn't listen to a bunch of alternative music.
Sometimes.
Not
Yeah,
very
you
often,
kind of have a
though.
rotate. It depends who's on the.
It depends on who's on the team. Yeah,
one of the Euro guys is running it. You got pop, like techno pop and electronic and dance and all that.
Yeah.
How big of an issue can that cause?
Oh, it's awful.
I ran the music in the minors typically when I was in Houston. Like,
okay.
I did a lot of the music. My goal was have 50% of the people in the dressing room happy.
Okay.
DJ
like,
Kass.
yeah, that's what they tell me. Yeah, that's what they would say. I'm not even kidding. That's what they call me when
DJ
I
Kass?
DJ Kass when I started making music.
Did you have to start dressing differently?
Yeah. You ever seen how like Dead Mouse like wears?
Yeah.
One of those.
Yeah, that's good. Nobody knew who DJ
Nobody
Kass
knew
was.
who it was. No, it was like 50% of the guys. If you can keep 50% of the guys happy, you're doing a good job.
Was that difficult to do?
Yes,
it was.
It always was, because you're gonna have people. You just have to realize that you're gonna have people that complain about the music no matter what. That's just it. And then
every single time. They probably complain about everything all the time.
Yeah, I mean, everyone complains about everything.
Yeah.
But I was always like, my thought was like the last couple songs before you go out, I tried to always do like the repetition where it was typically the same.
Okay.
A couple different ones where you would be listening to the same songs at the same time right before everyone goes on the same ice. And you might have a couple different variations of it, but always tried to have that similar, just from a mindset standpoint of that mentally trying to get everyone in the same headspace before going on the ice.
Then there's always the what was your favorite after game song on the radio when you won a game? Like when you came in.
Well, it depends. It
Oh,
depends
really?
on the team. My favorite of all time was playoffs 2013. Like, to go to this story, like of choking out, trying to choke out. Like that series, we had Hall and Oates, and like, you make my dreams come true. And it was after we won. Like, we came off the ice and that's what we played. And then everyone just started like, because no reporters in the dressing room or anything, so everyone started grinding on something in the room, inanimate objects. So it's like you just start grinding stuff, and everyone's just going nuts. Like, it started off with like everyone just dancing, and then somehow it turned into grinding, like where some guys are like grabbing the garbage can.
Yeah.
And, it was just.
So is that a DJ Kass song?
No,
No.
I
Because
can't
you were doing it in Houston.
I think
you
it
said,
might have been Zach Smith that did it, because I helped a little bit with the music there, but it was typically Carlson, or Zach Smith were the two DJs, and it was very different because Smitty, like Zach Smith, was a lot. You get like those alternative and like the rock and stuff was a little different, and Carlson was all techno, all hip hop,
all the time.
Huh.
Gage, did you ever have any opinion on the music at all? Or
I'm sorry, but I can't take the country music.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Country music's real life, guys.
Yep. Yeah, no, and I like country music. I grew up on country music. I grew up on a farm, but in the room before a game, I don't know.
Not before the game.
No,
that'd be like pregame skate.
Yeah, Gage,
really?
would you guys ever had country music in the room?
All the time.
Really?
Oh, well, it depends on the ratio of country music lovers to normal music lovers. But I think for the most part of my career, junior included, we had so many. You have guys from
all over the
prairies
world,
and stuff, and they love their country music. So, I've never bought a country album. I've never bought a song, but I know the lyrics to so many songs. It's mind-numbing.
Really?
Yeah.
You're missing out, man.
Did you guys have one individual song that pumped you up when you played? Did you have one that you would listen to maybe like in headphones before you went out or anything? Or?
No, I never wore headphones. On the bus trips before I would, but yeah, no. My favorite was actually in junior in Portland. After the game winning song was that Steppenwolf Magic Carpet Ride.
Oh, really?
That was good. That was good. We were all like running around.
Kass,
the room
did you ever go to? Especially as DJ Kass, was there one that you
pregame?
Yeah, like for you personally.
I still probably have it on my phone. Actually, my pregame playlist.
Okay.
And you know what? It actually is all heavy metal.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you a heavy metal guy?
Not typically.
No.
Pregame was. I was very picky with it. Very selective. Like it was specific artists and specific songs. And the same ones every single time at the same time. Like I would have a variation, like where I'd kind of listen to whatever was on, like on shuffle.
Yeah.
But then for me, it was when I started my actual like pregame stretching warm up, like individual routine. Like the start of my, like, this is when my actual routine starts. Like not it's called free flow, just do whatever.
Yeah.
When my actual routine would start, it would be the same songs in the same order. And very rarely would it change. Like it would, maybe a couple songs get replaced over the course of a year, but it was very regimented.
I like
same
it.
stuff at the same time.
I was a goalie from like the age of 7 to 14, and when we would drive, when we were playing just in Cranbrook and around the Kootenays, it'd be like an hour drive to go to Creston or whatever. And the last song my mom would play in the car before we get to practice or to get to a game, and I should be embarrassed to say this because, I mean, there's a reason I guess I was shitty. And this is probably the one. I would listen to "Achy Breaky Heart" by Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh, jeez!
My mom was like, "Why do you think this song pumps you up? It's not a good song at all." It was awful. It was awful.
My dad always used to play Stevie Winwood all the time driving to games.
Really?
Yeah, I know that whole album too.
That's front to back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not bad. Now, if we were to have a pre-show playlist here in the studio, or what we have of a studio, Kass, would you be willing to be there?
Okay, you guys win.
No. I didn't want to have to deal with that. That's one less thing. One less thing that we don't need to deal with. Perfect. That's good to know. All right, we're going to do some predictions. A couple other things I want to get to. It's waiver day across the National Hockey League. Tons of names on waivers, including some that are kind of surprising. But for these guys, I mean, some of them have been through it before. For some of them, it's the first time. What's it like going to an NHL camp and then finding out you're not going to make the team, being placed on waivers, being cut, things like that? Gage, what do you think is going through the mind of a lot of these guys today? Or is it just kind of part of the business and it doesn't affect them?
Yeah, no, it's like being on Twinder and no one's swiping right. So
did you say Twinder?
Twinder? Did I say Twinder?
You said Twinder.
What is it called? Grinder?
It's it's not Grinder. It's Tinder.
Tinder. That's what it's called.
Twinder is the one where you look for two.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no wonder my account's not working.
But it's just like, it's not disappointing at all. It's easy. You just kind of, you're okay. I'll back down in the American Hockey League and keep grinding.
Yeah. I remember I just went through it a couple times, but I was hoping, but nothing happened.
Yeah.
So.
Kass, what about you, bud?
I remember that, like, the first time was the worst for that in Minnesota, and I just remember because you can't go on with the team after, like, for practice, like, that's it. You're calling your agent, letting them know. that it's going to happen, because usually you're going to find out like an hour or two before you actually like the list goes out. So you're calling your agent, letting him know, hoping that he's going to be able to call teams and find something or someone that's going to pick you up. Teams typically all do it at times when they think the player has the least likely chance of picking up. So typically when teams have to finalize their rosters, that's when the guys that they're actually worried about having to clear waivers, if they're worried, that's when they send them through, because it's like, what team is going to pick up a guy when they look at waiver lists and they have their roster set?
Yeah.
They just put a guy that they have on waivers too. Like, it's very likely. So the chance of that happening, as opposed to putting a guy on waivers during the regular season,
has to be a pretty unique scenario then, right? Like at the beginning of the year for somebody to waive one of their guys to claim somebody else.
I think so.
Yeah,
it has to be someone special. And so I mean, I just remember going to the hallway and you're calling your agent, you're calling, you're still young, like. Like you're calling your agent, calling your parents, letting them know kind of what's going on, and it's just disappointing. It's just disappointing. I mean, you feel because usually at that point too, it's like you maybe were later in, like you were expecting to have an opportunity to make it.
You're one of the final five or six.
Like you're one of the last guys. So it's different. Like if it's early in camp and you get sent down, or if you're expecting it. But the first time it happened, and when I was at the point, I was like, I think I have a chance at making this team or playing games and being a part of it. I mean, it's like a country song.
You know what? There should be a country song. I cleared waivers, the country song
today.
Yeah. Did you start singing a little bit of
Oh,
a
that was
accent?
Yeah, that was good.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's.
You guys don't know my talent, so we're not going to talk. You know what? I don't want to talk about this thing.
Wait, I want to hear about it.
So, because I don't have Instagram.
Okay.
My wife does.
Yeah.
So some time ago, like with the kids, because I had 2 little girls in the car, and sometimes on Sunday we'll go through like a drive-through for the kids to get them something to eat, and I somewhere along the line started doing an accent every single time we go through. And so
I do the same thing.
It's just to be an idiot. And my wife started recording this for her Instagram because she thinks I'm an idiot.
Oh no,
she doesn't actually think I'm an idiot. She thinks it's funny. Like but she doesn't she doesn't understand why other people think they're funny, because like many of her friends think it's hilarious that I'm doing these terrible, and they're all bad. These bad accents.
So like you're doing Australian accents?
Like Australian, like British, like Southern US.
Really?
Like I did Batman. That was a good one. I tried to do Cookie Monster.
Can you do an Elmo?
No, I've never done
I should work on an Elmo. That'd be funny.
Yoda is one I need to probably do at some point.
Yeah,
too.
that'd be good. And Gage, did you say you do the same thing?
Well, yeah, but it'll be like not always in the car, but I'll be like the crazy Russian guy, and I'll speak in a Russian accent with my kids.
Daddy's doing crazy Russian guy again.
It's pretty funny. It stems from playing with like Eastern European guys all the time.
Oh, so you just kind of know how they are.
Yeah, so that's what we went with.
That's not bad. Worst thing I've ever done in the drive-thru, and this is pretty bad. It's embarrassing to talk about, but there was a time where I was just like, I'm done with drive-thrus. I'm just gonna go to the gym and ride a bike and push some weights, and it lasts for like a week. But I still wanted McDonald's, right? So I go through the drive-thru, and I didn't want to eat a lot. I just wanted a Happy Meal. I just wanted a little bit of fries, small little cheeseburger, go about my day. So I pull up to the drive-thru. I order the Happy Meal, get the toy and everything. Pull up. The lady opens up the window, pay. She hands me the meal, and I turn around and pretend I had a kid in the back of the car. And I was just like, "Here you go, son." And I sat it down, and then drove away. And then once I got away, I grabbed it and just devoured it. Devoured. Well, I didn't want her to be like, "Why is this grown ass man ordering a Happy Meal?" Oh, it's because he doesn't want to eat McDonald's right now, but he still wants to eat McDonald's right now.
The shame drive-through. That's great.
That was embarrassing. that was pretty embarrassing. All right, we did say we were going to do some predictions today, and I also want to get to a couple of things happening around the National Hockey League as far as I want to get to McDavid and Draisaitl and how they're on different lines right now with Dave Tippett. So we will get to that here as we work our way through. But just a couple of predictions. There's 3 things that I wanted to hit on. I want to hit on the Hart Trophy winner. Who do you think is going to win that this year? Stanley Cup winner. And then the biggest story. What do you think emerges as the biggest story of the year in the national? Like the St. Louis Blues last year ended up being the biggest story of the year considering where they were and what they ended up doing. It's not always the Stanley Cup champion, but let's start with the Hart Trophy. I mean, is it going to be a unanimous thing here? Could it be Connor McDavid again? If they miss the playoffs, will it not be him? I know I've got somebody else that I'm going to go with, but Cass, who do you like to be the league MVP this season?
If I look at the teams, I look at what I would expect from a point production. I mean, the easiest answer to me is Kucherov.
Okay.
Right? Like he's going to put up a ton of points again. They're going to be really good again. And I just see him. I see him winning it. Connor McDavid, I think, will be close, but if he's in the mix, depends on if they're in the playoffs or not. That's going to be
so. If they're 10 points out at the end,
he's not winning. Yeah, no, not a chance. If they make the playoffs and he puts up like 120, well, then
which he might have to do if they're going
to make the playoffs. If he does that, then you go, okay, well, he's going to be in the conversation at that point. But I think the easy early choice for me is Kucherov.
Gager?
Yeah, I think if Connor's going to win it, and not make the playoffs, it would have to come down to like the last game of the year, and he has more points than anyone else, and he has like a 5-point night, and we lose 6-5,
and they just come up.
yeah. That's the only way he's gonna win it. That's a good point with Cooch. He's gonna put up big numbers, but I'm gonna say that I think Nathan MacKinnon probably has the best chance of maybe passing both those guys, just because with Cooch, you're going to see him having so many other great players to play with. And I'm not saying, like, obviously McKinnon's playing with good guys, but I think Cooch plays with a lot more, and the team's a little bit more rounded than Colorado is. But I think Nathan MacKinnon would mean more to his team making the playoffs and playing the way he does than Kucherov would. So I'm going to go with I think probably if Oilers do make the playoffs, it will be Connor. But if anyone else, I think MacKinnon has a shot at that.
All right. So I was going to say MacKinnon.
Oh, sorry.
But no, that's okay. That's okay. I'm going to take a little bit of a sleeper.
I saw that. I said MacKinnon. You kind of went down in your chair.
Well, first of all, I have horrible posture anyway. So that might have just been a coincidence. So I'm going to go off the board here a little bit. You guys, maybe this is crazy, but I'm going to say that Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers is going to win the Hart Trophy this year.
Wow.
Right? If they make the playoffs, he was a stud last year. He's in the mix for the Selke. He had over 90 points last year. I know they brought in Bobrovsky. Maybe people point to that being a difference if they make the playoffs. But I think Barkov could be a 100-point guy who's also in the running for the Selke. And if that's the case and they make the playoffs, then he's going to be in the running for the Hart Trophy as well. So, so we'll go Kucherov. We'll go MacKinnon. We'll go Barkov. And then McDavid if the Oilers make the playoffs. I mean, is that basically what we're looking at? Yeah, I would think that's probably the case.
Can Tampa play Florida down there in the playoffs there at some point?
Yeah, you think that'd be a good series?
Well, I remember we were talking about it a few weeks ago, and we were thinking about how they have to win that first game of the playoffs no matter what, just so it doesn't. But could they be going up against Bobrovsky in the first round?
And he got them last year in Columbus.
Them last year in Columbus and just starts.
That's a really good point.
That would be a fun story.
That would be awesome, hey? Yeah.
I think Florida can. I think with Bobrovsky, I think they're going to be a pretty good team. All right, Stanley Cup champions.
Oh, I hate this one.
First, the Toronto Maple Leafs will not win the Stanley Cup.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, stop my heart for a second.
You know what? I'm not gonna go with the typical.
Okay.
Here. I'm gonna step a little bit outside the box. I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche.
Whoa.
I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche.
Wow.
I think, when we look at the team and when we look at the young defensemen coming in, I think they have a really good overall team. I think from a look, we're going to see them be pretty high powered. I think they're going to have a great power play. And I think they have just enough depth to be able to take it. So I'm going to, again, a little bit of a limb. I don't want to pick an easy one. I don't want to be like the Tampa Bay Lightning. I already did that with Kucherov, I think. So I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche.
What do you got, Gager?
Why don't you go?
I'll go.
I don't want to take your pick again.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll go with Alexander Barkov and the Florida Panthers. You know what? I'm going to say... You know what? I'll say it. I'm going to say the San Jose Sharks win the Stanley Cup this year. They've been through a lot in the playoffs. They've had their disappointments. Cass, you're shaking your head. Man, I gave you a lot of respect for your Colorado pick.
I know, but I just look at the forwards now. The defense, they're still stacked on.
But you just think they missed Pavelski?
I think Pavelski leaving is a massive, massive blow.
Well, they had some young guys last year step up. Like Timo Meier is a really good player. Yeah. Thomas Hertl was a lot better last year. He was legitimate. That Kevin Labanc, he looks pretty legit as well. I mean, not Pavelski. Don't get me wrong. Not Pavelski in his prime, but So you think because they didn't lose a ton else of significance. I mean, who'd they lose? Donskoy. I think they lost Donskoy. He went to Colorado. But I just like Carlson, Burns, and Vlasic on that back end. Man. That's pretty ridiculous, right? So I'm gonna say the San Jose Sharks. What about you, Gage?
Well, that's a tough one, but I'm going to. I hope that the Las Vegas Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup this year. And purely for selfish
crazy pick.
Purely for selfish reasons. I like teams on the West Coast to go far in the playoffs because I hate watching the early games. I need later games.
You need the later games. Yeah. Everything's already taken care of.
Yeah,
my kids are young, so I like the early games.
Oh, really?
I can go to bed.
No, I can sleep. I gotta have the.
I prefer the late games because once you get the kids to bed, then I can actually focus on the game.
Yeah,
I have no chance to watch a 5:30 start. Yeah. There's just not. I mean, the TV can be on, but. I mean, I can't just sit there and ignore my kids to watch a 5:30 start.
You could.
Well, I could, but that would not go over.
There's guys that do.
I don't have
lose
the points.
Yeah,
there's a lot. Yeah, that'll suck the points out.
The point meter is just going down, the whole time. That would not be good. Okay, and then what about the biggest story of the year? What do you think will be the story that at the end of the year everybody's like, wow, I can't believe 2019-20 was the year of what?
I was thinking of some weird things to happen.
Of course you were.
I was thinking, it's not a good thing to think about, but I was wondering if a player in the U.S. and say, heaven forbid it probably will happen, but another mass shooting that affects a player's wherever he's playing. Hopefully his family's fine. But says, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to play in the U.S. anymore. I want to move back to Canada and play just for the safety of my family. So I'm going to go.
So your story of the year.
Story of the year
is the player not wanting to play in the States anymore.
Yeah, a player doesn't matter. Maybe he's from Europe and goes, you know what? This isn't safe for my family. I'm not going to live down here. I want to come up to Edmonton, be closer to my favorite podcast with two guys and a goalie, and we're gonna live up there and be safe.
You went way off the map.
Yeah, way off.
That's really creative.
I was not expecting that at all.
I was gonna be like, oh, I think two guys are gonna score 50 again. Okay, well, what about you, Kass?
Carter Hart will be nominated and in the running for the Vezina.
Ooh, boy,
that's a good one.
Now, because he's a local guy from us here in Edmonton, a little bit of Gage, you love Carter Hart.
He's awesome. And then what Frank was talking about.
Sarah Volley was talking about it too. Yeah,
I hate not being able to watch a lot of those Eastern teams a lot of the time. But I'm excited to see how he does for sure.
I will go with. I'm going to say Alexander Ovechkin scores 60 goals. I don't think that might even be crazier than Gager's an American.
I don't think it's that crazy.
You don't think so?
No.
60 would be an incredible number right now.
Backstrom's so great at getting him.
Backstrom is ridiculous. He's either with Backstrom or he's with Kuznetsov.
Yeah,
and when Kuznetsov's not doing the coke. So yeah, there's that option there as well. So there's our predictions for the upcoming season. What do you think of the Oilers? Dave Tippett's got McDavid and Draisaitl on different lines here for the last 3 or 4 days at practice. Do you think he I get it. I'm on board with whatever Dave Tippett wants to try because the Oilers need something fresh. They need something that works. But at the same time, you'd be separating the best duo in the National Hockey League last year to start the season. Kass, do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it even happens? Do you think by Wednesday it's like they're back together?
I think Dave Tippett is his own person and is going to make that decision. So I would not be surprised if we see them split up. I would not be surprised because I'm sure his thought is if we can get the same or similar offensive levels from McDavid, then it really helps drive the line. And then from a depth standpoint, it just creates so much more depth if they have the ability to do that. So I see him doing it. Do I think I would have done it? Or
you would have kept them together?
I'd keep them together. I would keep them. To me, I've said this a few times on doing pre and post game shows.
Yeah.
I think taking the givens are really important at the start of the season. You don't want to gamble at the start of the season. You want to go with what you know works, and then you tweak and
find other things.
And find other things as you go. And so to me, having them separate, that's almost like an experiment where it's they're golden together, and you can experiment with the other guys in the lineup and other combinations in the second and third lines.
Gage, what do you think?
I hope that you can do both a little bit just to throw the other teams off. I think
So start them apart and then throw them together if
yeah,
you need to?
the biggest concern is the bottom six scoring. If that's the only reason that most coaches that have been here for the past few years is they've constantly had to go back to Draisaitl and McDavid is because no one else was producing, you just don't have a choice. Like I'm sure a lot of times they would have loved to split them up and have it more balanced, but you're getting the first shot on net, you're getting scored on and chasing the game half the time. Those guys had to come back because I don't know how many times the Oilers actually played with a lead and stuff like that. So just if we can establish a little bit more balance from the bottom six and have the ability to mess up other teams so they can't match up their best guys against our best guys.
That's something to look at for sure. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if they do it. I wonder if by Wednesday they're back together.
They're together for sure. Like Kass said, I wouldn't first 10 games. I would probably play them together because we always say
might be enough to get you through if anybody else is contributing in the lineup.
You don't want to be losing points in the first 10, 15, right? Like you don't
want to fall behind so quickly then.
Yeah, you don't want to be out of it.
Unless you're the St. Louis Blues, and then you can just come back and win the Stanley Cup anyway, which does not happen very often. All right, one more thing I want to get to. I was in Vancouver over the weekend doing play-by-play for a CFL football game. And on the Friday night, I didn't have anything to do. Everything was already prepped. The game wasn't until Saturday at 8 o'clock. So look, I have no friends in Vancouver. So
should have phoned me. I could have hooked you up.
What?
Yeah.
You know people?
I ruled Kitsilano as a kid.
That's right.
The
yeah,
rough streets. I don't know if you would have.
Kitsilano.
I don't know if you would have. You might have gotten.
So anyway,
smelled like patchouli and put some tie-dye on you.
I went to a movie by myself. Let's start there. Do you go to movies by yourself, and do you love the experience like I do?
I love it.
Yeah, it's totally fine. For the longest time, I was embarrassed, but now I'd rather go by myself.
Just own it. I started that playing pro.
Yeah.
First couple of years in the minors, like I've talked about how the practice typically was you just go home and play video games.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't. So it was like if there was a movie I wanted to watch, you just go mid-afternoon post practice. So you're going to like a 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock movie with like no one in the theater, and you just go by yourself. Like sometimes you go with your teammates, sometimes you just go by yourself.
Yeah.
And it was great. You spread out, you take up as much room as you want. If there are people there, they typically look at you a little funny, but over time you're just like, I don't really care. I'm here to see a movie. Like it's fun.
As long as you're not wearing a trench coat and sunglasses, you're usually pretty fine.
I was sitting there.
And it depends on the movie too.
I went and saw Ad Astra with Brad Pitt.
Was that bad?
It's shitty. Like, do not see Ad Astra. Like, I couldn't believe it. I kept sitting there. I waited. I would have left if I was sitting. Like the theater was jammed, and I always go sit up in like the far left corner because usually nobody comes sits by you. But I'm sitting there. The movie's about to start. This couple's looking for seats, and there's 2 seats next to me, and I was like, "Don't sit here. Like I don't want to sit next to a dude the whole movie." When I came by myself, and they look at me and they're like, "Are those 2 taken?" And I was just like, I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, they're available." And then they kind of looked at each other like, why is this guy sitting in the corner by himself? But I didn't even care. So I sat down. The dude next to me at the probably about an hour and a half into this movie, I heard him go, "Oh my God." Like it was really? Oh yeah. It was not a good experience. But I do like going by myself. And last year, my wife was working. She was a teacher. Had the 2 kids at home. I still wanted to get naps in, because I like to nap in the afternoon, being a morning radio guy. So I just pay my babysitter extra time, and I'd go to movies, and I'd sleep at the movie. I went to John Wick 3 twice just to sleep.
So you didn't want to just sleep at home?
Awesome.
Well, no, because
like
if I
get extra for the
busted.
babysitter, extra for the movie.
I thought that would be weird if first of all, going home and sleeping is impossible if the babysitter's gone, and I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
No, I was saying like with the babysitter there.
Well, but then isn't that weird? Like
tell
I
the
felt
babysitter
like
hey, watch the kids. I need to take a nap.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that.
You don't think it's weird? I think it makes me feel lazy.
That's weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Lazier than going to a movie and sleeping in a movie with the intention, like I'm hiring a babysitter to go sleep at a movie. They
always thought it was weird when I rolled into the movie with a pillow and a blanket. What is going on? This
the trench coat and
sunglasses.
sunglasses.
The very first time I went to a movie by myself, I was walking in and I saw 2 dudes that I know. And they're like, "Hey, Nielsen, what's up?" I was just like, "Hey, I think I was going to see like Iron Man 3 or something." And I said, "Oh, not much." And I'm not sure. Who you with? I said, "Oh, my wife. She's inside." And then I just kind of took off and went inside and got up and hid in the far corner. And that was it. So it's a great time, though. It's good. I enjoy doing things by myself. It's fun.
It's great. Especially the new ones with the VIPs. You can
very nice.
Go grab a couple beers before.
Okay, let's wrap up with this. The season starts on Wednesday. What's this time like for players now that camp's over? Got to be pretty excited. Fresh start for everybody. Gager, take us back to whatever the league was before the season started. What's it like?
I just remember so excited. Like it's the start of the year, a couple days. You're thinking about the team you're playing. You can't wait to the preseason's over. Most of it was just pure enjoyment that you actually made the team. But very exciting time, and couldn't wait to get after it.
Kass, what about you?
Well, for me, it was still every day I walk in and I'm just like trying to look around the corner to see if my bag's packed.
Living in fear, basically
living
the entire
in fear,
time.
Basically every day. Still living at the hotel. You maybe are on the roster, but you haven't got that like, hey, go get a place. You haven't had that conversation yet, so you're just like, listen, everyone's excited. Everyone's just ready for the real games that actually count to start. So you are excited for that to happen. For young guys that did make the team, I mean, they're excited just to be there and to get everything going. For veteran guys that have been around, you're just excited to get playing and to actually, get your points and to play for something that matters as opposed to exhibition.
We'll actually have games and stories to talk about later in the week. That's going to do it for episode 5 of the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast, presented to you by the fine folks at Oddshark. And, of course, Popeyes, Louisiana Chicken, and Sport Clips, redefining men's haircuts. I still haven't finished my chicken sandwich. I'm going to get that down now. Gager somehow did it while we were talking for an hour. For Hernan in the corner, and Matt Kassian and Joaquin Gage, I'm Dustin Nielsen. Thank you very much for downloading or streaming episode 5 of Two Guys and a Goalie. We will be back on Thursday.